Hey everyone, we'll be starting shortly. Just bear with me as I get everything set up. Okay. From there. Connection seems to be good. Don't need these anymore. Everything seems to be okay, so let us begin. Hi everyone, welcome to another stream of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. We had left off last time after finding the possible truth of the carriage. We pretty much didn't learn anything. uh, we may have learned that the guy that we were defending, that he may have actually been the guy that actually did the whole thing. He got away scot-free. He was happy about the whole thing, and everyone was like, let go. But at the end of the entire thing, the carriage was set on fire by unknown means when the defendant was there. And then there was someone inside the carriage. We don't know who it was, but someone was inside as it was burning down. And the vampire prosecutor just stood there and watched with a stoic face. Yeah, we're going to be continuing on. I don't know if it's going to be a direct continuation, like it's literally just right after the case, and then we meet with the what was his name? With the chief of law or whatever his name was. Because he was like, "Go do this thing for me, and I will see about you getting into the correct into getting to be a lawyer." And we did it. We won. Whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know, but we'll find out. Um, just as a heads up, Restream has updated itself. I was not informed there was going to be an update. So right now, everything looks different to me on Restream, and for some reason, they have removed some features. For example, for Twitch, I would be able to edit it in a way where I could change the game I was playing by just clicking edit, and then it would show like the title, and then it would show the game underneath that I could change each time I wanted to put it onto the game I was actually doing. For some reason, they removed that option, so I can only change the name now, which is annoying. So I have to actually go onto Twitch to change the game, which I've never done before. So I had to do that just now and get that sorted. Um, they've also changed how to update titles. For some reason, it's only showing how to do it for. It's only showing like YouTube ways to update the stream, but not Twitch. But it applies it to both, even though the one for Twitch doesn't have a description bar. So I don't know how it applies that. Um, but other than that, I think it's okay. Everything seems to be the same. They've kind of moved things around. I don't like the layout of most of it, but overall it's fine. But if anything comes up and there's something wrong, just let me know and I'll see if I can sort that out. And if it's not something I can sort out, then just blame Restream. Without further ado, let us get into the game and see what we can get up to today. If I can find it. Male Stronghold, that was his name, or Strongheart. Thank you. This is right after the case? All right, cool. Get that out of the way. Right, showing on there. It's fine on there. Here. I wonder if they sorted out the desync issue on this thing. Showing up on there. Everything seems to be good. And fine. Let's go. The story isn't really a direct follow-up, but it's part of the overarching story. Okay. Continue. And we'll get to see what the cutscene was again to remind ourselves. The Clouded Kokoro.
I begin to think, Wilson, said Sholmes, turning his head languidly in my direction, that there is more to this case than that which we have observed. Indeed, that there may be another part to this story that we are yet to discover. His eyes wandered, following the steam rising from his cup of herbal tea, leading him to the distant memory.
You're not a real British guy. If you don't say herbal. Herbal tea.
To the young lady collapsed on the pavement along Briar Road, and to the knife in her back.
Oh.
Lit in the soft glow of gas lamps, a most extraordinary scene had been set. And under the cover of
It's
a
a
light
normal
fog,
Tuesday, someone got
the
stabbed.
curtain had risen silently on the insoluble mystery of our invisible killer.
Hey, we are back here. Ugh. 19th of February, 9:47 a.m. British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. That's the word I was looking for. Lord Chief Justice. Did you sleep last night, Naruhodo? No, not at all. It was an enormous hotel, wasn't it? The rooms were so luxurious, it felt like we were staying in a palace. With all the gas lights twinkling, it was brighter than day, even in the middle of the night. What about the enormous beds? After my time on the SS Bury, I wasn't going to waste a single inch of that space. I spent the entire night rolling from one side to the mattress to the other. Oh yes, it really was the sort of thing, or sort of night you can only dream of normally. Except when I learned that we owed £3 for the room, that dream quickly turned into a nightmare. Oops, sorry about that. The building was so impressive and the entrance so inviting, I just wandered in without thinking. In a lodging house in Japan, that sum of money would put a roof over your head for a whole year. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't help my tears when we were presented with the bill. I really am sorry. Oh, never mind. We'll just have to find some affordable lodging straight away, though. If we're not careful, the entire stipend will be used up in 10 days or less. London is a scary place. I need to remember the voice I gave to this guy. I think it was like a serious sort of thing. It's like, good morning to you at this early hour. Oh, yes. Well... Good morning to you, Lord Chief Justice. We have come to report on the outcome of the trial at the Old Bailey yesterday. Cesaro-san is amazing. She doesn't bat an eyelid, even in the presence of the imposing Lord Strongheart. Yes, I believe you have a very comprehensive initiation into British courtroom practices. Oh, yes, it was very eye-opening. Thank you. And in accordance with your instructions, Lord Strongheart, Mr. Naruhodo performed his duty to the end. Yes, I have already been apprised of the events. You conducted a remarkable defense. You may consider the test passed. Oh! No longer are you a student from the Empire of Japan. You may henceforth claim to be a fully fledged lawyer. My country is delighted to welcome young talent from such a remote eastern land. Thank you very much. So, I'm a lawyer now. Now, in view of your appointment, I have a fresh case in mind for you. I'd like you to take it on at once. I trust that won't be a problem. Another case? Already? Nothing trains a lawyer better than practical experience. I'm sure. I don't sense dissatisfaction, do I? It's just that yesterday's trial ended unusually. I haven't quite come to terms with it. What's to come to terms with? The man was cleared. What more were you hoping for? Time has been established by this court. Consequently, the jury would not be required to proffer judgment. Well, Lord Van Zeeks, it's been a pleasure, so it has. It's for you, my dear fella. I couldn't have asked for a better defense. Wahahaha. It's a flashback. I don't put effort into the flashbacks. I just can't help wondering, Mr. McGilded really was innocent. Mr. Naruhodo. I know I went through many different accents there. It's just that I never managed to ascertain the truth. And then the trial ended. Well, you needn't let it trouble you for a second longer. Sorry? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? He's dead, so it doesn't matter in the end. Magnus McGilded passed away immediately following the trial. No! What? Mr. McGilded is dead? I have 19 minutes and 41 seconds until my next engagement. Time enough to talk. Okay. McGilded's death. I don't understand. What happened? How could he be dead? After the trial concluded yesterday, there was a great commotion in the Old Bailey. As you'll presumably recall, an omnibus had been wheeled into the courtroom. Yes, of course, that was the scene of the crime which Mr. McGilded had been accused of. Precisely. Well, while the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matter, the omnibus went up in flames. No. How could such a thing have happened? That is being investigated as we speak, but already the police have identified a corpse found inside the charred shell of the carriage as that of Mr. McGilded. That's awful. The man must have slipped inside whilst the bailiff's attention was elsewhere. That bailiff really needed to pay more attention. How could that have happened? And that is also being investigated as we speak. Thinking back now, immediately after the trial, Mr. McGilded did mention going back into the courtroom to look at the omnibus. The bailiff did it. It's the great ancestor of, what's his name? The guy that keeps getting his handcuffs caught around his neck. Makes that horrible noise. I can't remember his name because it's not worth remembering, but you know who I'm talking about. Well, I must be making tracks now. Oh, I'm putting the accent on without realizing it. Whatever. It's time for the inspection. Sorry? What inspection? Meekins, that's it, yeah. They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could present it for myself, or be present for itself. An inspection of the omnibus. Not to my knowledge, I don't believe Scotland Yard had any intention of re-examining the carriage. But then who was Mr. McGilded talking about? And never mind that now, the Yard is making a thorough investigation. This matter is no longer any of the concern of yours. Leave it to the police. Poor Mr. McGilded. So, how did you find your first taste of your country's Supreme Court? Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, it was... Wow! Mr. Naruhodo means that the whole experience was steeped in the solemnity of Great Britain's long history. It's really a world apart from our own judicial system in Japan, which only is a few short decades old. Wow, Suzaru-san has such a way with words. Okay, stop fawning over her, okay? I know you love her, Ryunosuke, but stop! And you seem to have a way of failing to find the right ones. The judicial system here is the most advanced in the world. Learn all you can. The most advanced in the world, is it? It was fortunate that your very first trial was a simple affair. Simple? That was simple? As I believe I mentioned yesterday morning, it was a trial you couldn't lose. I don't mean to be contrary, Lord Strongheart, but the case was anything but simple. The circumstances of the case were so incriminating, I was stunned when I first heard them. In fact, I'm still finding it hard to believe that we managed to get a favorable verdict. Is something funny? No, my apologies. However, the fact is that you did receive the not guilty verdict you set out to achieve. And that can only be attributed to exceptional talent, wouldn't you agree? Well, I don't know about that. Then you're fired. Get out. Well, never mind. You exceeded my expectations, I freely admit. That much at least is an undeniable truth. Which is precisely why I prepared the new case for you that I mentioned before. What's going on? What was he going to say before? Could you perhaps give us more details about the new case you mentioned? Don't tell me. It's a murder, and the trial starts in 10 minutes. Don't worry. It is nothing so alarming. It's quite so urgent as your last assignment. In fact, this case is completely different. Oh, I see. Did he just read my mind? That is to say, no one has died yet. And the trial will not be today. There is plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. 23 hours, 43 minutes, and 19 seconds to be precise. So the trial's tomorrow then. Is everything alright? Oh, yes. I'm just a little confused, that's all. Yesterday's trial was... Well, it was left me wondering if I'm really cut out for being a lawyer. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. I don't know if I could face standing in that courtroom again after Mr. McGilded's trial. Ah, yes, I nearly forgot. There is one similarity with yesterday's case. Once again, there is currently no one to advocate for the defense. Is this just his go-to thing? It's like, oh, by the way, the guy will just be tried without you being there, so you better do it. Oh. If the situation remains unchanged, the trial will start tomorrow with the defendant represented. And if that happens, I need not remind you of the inevitable outcome. The most terrible end awaits the defendant. Yes, that's right. We go again. Your time is up. You will have to excuse me. I would advise you to begin making preparations for tomorrow's trial. After all, the clock is ever ticking. There is now but 23 hours, 26 minutes, and 39 seconds until the court sits. Last time he mentioned the 23 hours, he said there was plenty of time. And one more thing, Mr. Naruhodo. There is something I should like to ask you. Oh, what's that? Yesterday, you remarked upon something that you intend to see through the will of your late compatriot, Mr. Asogi. I I would be interested to hear what exactly you mean by that. Inside 34 seconds. Oh, well, Kazuma always used to say, you see, that he wanted to learn how the greatest justice system in the world works so he could change ours in Japan. Now that he's gone, I'd like to work towards that myself. And there's another thing. Oh. Another thing. Continue. On the way here, on the steamship, he said something to me. There's something very important that I have to do. Something very important. What exactly would that be? He never had a chance to tell me. I suppose he would have done if he ever made it to Great Britain. You're out of time. Well, thank you for an enlightening discussion. That was more than 34 seconds. Mr. Naruhodo, what's all this about? Mr. Asogi never once mentioned any of the sort to me. You're not important enough, Susanoo, that's it. I'm the important one here. I urge you both to focus your attention on the matters at hand. Oh, hey! It's you guy. Why do you have a ball of chips? I've taken the liberty of summoning the police inspector in charge of the case. He'll be able to apprise you of the details. How long has he been there? So, I wish you the best of luck, and bid you farewell. And away he went, just to die in the next case. There's something very important that I have to do. Kazuma-sama, what did you mean? I wish I knew, but he never told me. Anyway, we better talk to the detective, don't you think? Yes, you're right. I hope I'm just imagining it, but I wouldn't say he looks pleased to see us at all. I'll just leave you there while I'm looking around. Look at these many metal giants facing each other across the room. I think I already looked at these. I think it's just going to be the same as last time. They're in suits of armor. I thought maybe they were like lion dogs we have in Japan, guarding shrine gates. These are always possessed by evil spirits. They roam around in the middle of the night. Really? Is it something we don't know, Miss Susanoo? That book tells us everything I need to know about everything. Even about your measurements, Mr. Naruhodo. You're 2'1". Where did she get that incredible toe? The bargain bin? Lord Chief Justice's desk. I believe it's made of marble. Almost like overtop tombstone that's toppled over to me. I think that's your fanciful imagination at work again. Feels like everything that's normally made of wood and paper at home is made of bricks and stone here. I know, that's why this place is so overbearing. Blah, blah, blah. Look at this guy. He really... I guess he went to the chippy. Could we trouble you? What do you think? Lovely weather, isn't it? What's the weather got to do with anything? Listen to me, young Japanese upstart. Some frippery about the weather doesn't get every English gentleman eating out of your hand, you know? But Susanoo-san told me it was foolproof. I'm a busy man, a very busy man. There's a crime scene to investigate, and I'm here having to give the likes of you a talking to. Oh, I'm ever so sorry. Can you imagine what the other officers there will be saying? Haven't seen Gregsy anywhere, or Gregson, have you? No, he's too busy with the bigwigs these days. And all because of some bumpkin who's here on a jaunt from a country I've never even heard of. Hear that ripping sound? That's my reputation at the yard going to tatters. There's no need to rip us apart as well. I don't believe we've been introduced. This is me, Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, defense lawyer. Eh? It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. Eh? It's lovely weather we're having today, isn't it? It is unseasonably fine, I grant you. London winters don't see a lot of sunshine. Unbelievable. How did she pull that off? So, Lord Strongheart has asked me to fill you in on the case. The The name's Tobias Gregson, Inspector Gregson to you. I'm from Scotland Yard. Gregson? Inspector Gregson? What's the matter with Susanoo-san? Does this detective name mean something to her? Inspector, are you perhaps the Inspector Gregson? You're acting like you know this man, Mr. Sano, but he's a London detective. Oh, I do know him. Very well, in fact. Very well. Yes, he features prominently in the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes. Oh, in that publication. What's it called again? Rance magazine? That's right. Inspector Gregson and Mr. Sholmes enjoy a wonderful friendly rivalry. Really? You? Oh, that's wrong voice. Really? You? Rival the great Mr. Sholmes? That's incredible. Oh, well, I don't know about that. Mr. Sholmes isn't a professional like myself, of course, but he does come up with the goods from time to time. Mr. Sholmes is equally complimentary about you, Inspector, isn't he? You've earned his highest praise. Gregson is the pick of the bad lot of all the Scotland Yarders. Those were his own words. That's his highest praise? Well, Mr. Sholmes isn't particularly known for giving compliments, you see. That he is not. Thanks to that magazine, my name's known all over London town now. That's great, isn't it? Huh. I have to admit that to start, when I was little, well, flattered by all the attention, everyone wanted to shake my hand and my reputation at the yard went through the roof. Well, that's wonderful. No, it's not. There's nothing more sinister than the man on the street. People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under their breath, I'm sure. Rumors? Are you quite sure? He's changed since he started appearing in those stories. The fame's gone to his head. Stuff like that. Gosh, do you really think people are saying such mean-spirited things about you? Like I said, they whisper, so I catch exactly what they're saying. But I know what folk are like. I'm sure that's what they're saying. I'm sure as eggs is eggs. I get the feeling this detective could be very hard work. Oh dear. Perhaps the sudden rise to fame does change people. Just proved him right. So, about the case that the Lord Chief Justice mentioned before? Nothing to tell, really. As far as we're concerned at the yard, it couldn't be simpler. Oh dear. This probably means that as far as we're concerned as lawyers, it could be more complicated. Or it could be more complicated. I wish you were wrong about that, but I have a nasty feeling you're right. A young woman was taken walking along the pavement on Briar Road when she was stabbed from behind. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal, but she's still laid up in the hospital unconscious. That's despicable. What sort of coward would attack the poor woman from behind? I suppose you would have finished whoever it was off with a Susanoo takedown, would you? That is neither here nor there, Mr. Naruhodo. Brace yourself, Ionosuke. You've angered her now. Anyway, after some of a whirlwind investigation, the criminal was arrested. He barely had time for a cup of tea after the incident took place, to be honest. So there must have been something left at the scene that led you directly to the culprit? Or perhaps a reliable witness who recognized the person in question? Oh, let me stop you right there. You're wasting your time on this one. Sorry? There's nothing you can do. There's no way to help the bloke now. Why not? Simple. The prosecutor that's been assigned to the trial tomorrow is Lord Barak von Zeeks. No! Sounds like you've heard of him, then. Oh, yes. We are very familiar with Lord Van Zeeks. Believed to be the harbinger of death itself. The Reaper of the Bailey. Oh, we beat him last time. I don't know why we were like... Whoa! Lord Barak von Zeeks, who we faced in court only yesterday. Mr. McGilden told us about him before the trial, didn't he? When Van Zeeks stands for prosecution, they call the accused his sacrificial lambs. And in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accuser's been damned. This Reaper of the Bailey nickname. I suppose he's earned that because every defendant he advocates against is found guilty? Is that it? Well, if that's the case, we should inform you, Inspector, that in yesterday's trial against Lord Backseat, Mr. Nahoro secured a verdict of not guilty. And what of it? Oh, well, I think... Well, that means even against the Reaper of the Bailey, it's not possible to save the defendant. No, you really don't have a clue, do you? What do you mean? What happened to that bloke in the end, eh? He's dead. Magnus McGilded came a cropper in that omnibus when it went up in flames. So you can't rightly say you saved the defendant, can you? Yes, we can, because we made him not guilty. Just because he died in a fire does not mean that we lost. What are you saying? Look, if Van Zieks could get the dirt to stick on everyone, he'd be a miracle worker. But that's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles, he works magic. Black magic. I'd have a good long think about that if I were you. Are we really supposed to believe that? Man, I kind of want fish and chips now. God damn it, this game with its propaganda for British cuisine. I say cuisine, it's just fish and chips, like. Right, well, you filled you in as requested. I'm very nearly out of chips. You didn't actually tell us anything. Like, what happened? She got stabbed in the back. Where? On Briar Road. Who's the suspect? Who's the victim? When did this happen? So I'll be heading back to the crime scene now. We're still carrying out a few investigations there. It was Briar Road, you said, didn't you? Where the incident took place? That's correct, ma'am. And if you head over to the holding cells, you can meet the criminal himself. You branded him a criminal already? He's as good as shaking like a leaf in his shell, he is. So, I'll give you a chuckle if nothing else. His inmate 53 speaks to the jailer, and he'll show you the way. Inmate 53, thank you. So I'm listening to the clicking noises from the gears in the background. Is making me think of a song. So there's no helping anyone against the Reaper of the Bailey, they say. Is something troubling you, Mr. Naruhodo? To tell the truth, when I recall the trial yesterday, I can't stop myself from shaking. The idea of facing the Reaper in court again is... Well, if you think it's too much for you, there's no shame in turning the case down. That takes courage too. But if the man they're arrested is innocent, you could well imagine he would be shaking like a leaf in his cell. And I, for one, wouldn't find the sight of that funny. So, if I'm honest, I'm still reeling from the shock of yesterday's events myself. And I'm really not sure if I'll be able to help this man, whoever he is. But I'd like to try, so I think I'm going to make some inquiries. Will you help? No, I'll let you do it all on your own. Did you really think you had to ask? After all, I'm your judicial assistant. Thank you. So then, shall we? Yes. Let's go. Yeah, let's go kill some people. The scene or the prison first? Let's go to Fire Road. Ooh. That bike is bent. 19th of February, Briar Road. Snowman! Look at that 2D tree. Daily News, the Metropolitan... Blah, blah, blah. It goes off at the end. William Robbins, Fractal... I think I'm supposed to say Practical Optician, but it's very faded, so it looks like it says Fractal Opticon. Optian. So this is where it happened, Briar Road. Look, Mr. Nahoro. Look at that regulation metal helmet. It's unmistakable. The men of Scotland Yard are here. They're investigating as we speak. That is their job, you know. But Mr. Nahoro, to see one with my own eyes? They're often depicted in the adventures of Herlock shows, but I never dreamt I'd come to this close. She's come to be a tourist, not my assistant. To be a real Bobby's helmet. What? The helmet? Of course. I try to have one. What? I have to try one on one day. Well, I hope your hatty dream comes true. I don't see Inspector Gregson anywhere. Shall we see if we can sneak past and investigate the scene of the stabbing? Why should we sneak? I don't want to upset one of the bobblies and be butted out on the head with one of those metal helmets. My skull would crack in two, I'm sure. Oh no, an English body would never do such a thing. This is the land of gentlemen, you know. I can't read the signs. Oh, that's a Scotland Yard carriage. They used vehicles like that to rush crime scenes and cart away criminals. You're very well informed, aren't you? It's long been a dream of mine to ride one of those through the streets of London. Well, just pick up a stone and throw it through one of the windows then. But that would mean being arrested in order to ride it, wouldn't it? Still, if it's the only way, help me find a good stone. No, I wasn't serious. Snowman. I hid the body in the snowman. What a delightful snowman. I didn't realize the English had a tradition of making snowmen as well. Looks a little creepy, though. To be honest, I think we invented it. You just copied it. We invented snowmen. Oh, it has a scarf, look. You need one if you're going to be out in this freezing cold all the time. Wish I had one. I'm afraid our budget is somewhat frozen at the moment, too. We can't certainly afford a scarf. Surely the snowman here wouldn't miss us. But the person who made the snowman certainly would. Yes, I know, you're right. Anyway, even if I borrowed it, it wouldn't do much to warm my neck, would it? It's covered in snow. I mean, you get a wet neck, I suppose. It's one of the officers from Scotland Yard. The police are making sure the crime scene is undisturbed. I have a feeling that if we wander too close, we'll be clapped in irons. I think perhaps you're being a little overcautious. We've done nothing wrong, so we have no cause of concern. Oh no, I'm not getting caught again. Twice is enough. Twice I found myself in handcuffs despite not knowing a thing about what was going on. Yes, you've had some dreadful experiences. I'm sure it's the wide-eyed look of panic you're so prone to. It does you no favours at all. Ugh. This bike is destroyed. Oh, a British bicycle, look! Although the wheel is so misshapen, I'm sure it couldn't possibly be ridden anymore. Someone must have been doing some breakneck cycling. It seems bicycles have become extremely popular in London recently. And there's even a movement to change women's dress to allow them to ride as well. Bicycle fad won't last. I don't see why anyone would want to ride something like that. Well, Ryunosuke, your great ancestor rides one to court all the time. Goodness, do you dislike bicycles? No, not at all. I mean, it's not that I dislike them exactly. It's just that any occupation that involves taking both of your feet off firm ground seems reckless. If you'd ever tried walking on stilts and falling into a river, I know you'd agree with me. Well, we'll have to hire a bicycle sometime. You can sit behind me while I ride you around. Get one of those, what are they called? Bicycles with a carriage on the back. Can't remember. I think they've got a specific name. I can't remember it right now. It's a rather typical old brick building, isn't it? I'm sure it has a long and interesting history. Well, time certainly seems to have taken its toll on the place. It's crooked and sagging all over. In fact, it looks decidedly worse shape than the other houses around here. We must find some cheap lodgings ourselves as soon as possible. Yeah, you're right. Cheap, but ideally with reasonable level floors. And then we stay with... We end up finding, what do you call it? Chomes, and we end up staying at his home, which turns out to be this place. Yeah, the windows are bricked out as well. The Windows tax hit again. Which is an actual thing for people that don't know. Or was an actual thing. I don't think it's still a thing. The clouds look so big and heavy in the sky, don't they? With the dense fog as well, everything looks so hazy. Well, it is a known fact known as foggy London town. I can just make out some sort of spire through the fog. Looks like it's being built, though. Aha, yes. That must be the Crystal Tower, being built for the great exhibition that's to open in 6 months' time. You're not allowed to make joke predictions. Too many are correct or bear correct. Come on! You gotta allow me at least one. One a stream. Apparently it's going to be a very striking, glazed on all sides, and a symbolic centerpiece of the exhibition. It's to be the largest exposition in history, is it? I can't even begin to imagine it. There are piles of snows on the pavement here and there, but the road itself is covered in carriage tracks. It seems carriages often travel down Briar Road. It soon disperses all the snow. I slipped over when I was walking down the pavement earlier. It seems like it would be far safer to walk on the road instead. Oh, but you're rather small, Mr. Naruhodo, and dressed in all black. I worry coachmen might not see you, and you could be flanked by horses. Well, thank you for the rather small concern. He's tiny like a baby. Oh, look at the windows of that building there. Are you sure they're windows? Yes, but they're all filled in with bricks. Oh, you're right. I wonder why. Perhaps it's an empty property where nobody lives at the moment? There's smoke coming out the chimneys, though. Oh dear, everything still feels very foreign. There's so much we'd have to learn about this place. Considering you know about the law, I'm pretty sure you would know about Windows tax. Alright, well, we have to leave because there's nothing else here, so to prison! Oh, wow, we don't even have a question room. It's just straight up their cell. 19th of February, local prison cell 9. So these are British prison cells. Oh, they're ghastly. It feels like a dungeon. Yes, and having experienced it in Japan myself, I can assure you that our wooden cells feel a lot cozier than these cold wood stone walls. Oh, don't, Mr. Naruhodo, you're making it seem worse. Apparently our client is in this cell here. But it's so dark at the back there, I can't make him out. I wonder what he's like. Inmate 53, your legal representative is here to see you. Stop hiding in the back of the cell and show your face at once. Am I a cat, as yet with no name? Calling me my number, it's utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable. I refuse to answer. Mr. Naruhodo, what do you think is going on here? I have no idea, but I wasn't just hearing things, was I? That tirade of complaints was in Japanese. Oh, hello. The front opens up. Look at this low pixel sweat drop. Excuse me? But who? Shh, quiet! They're all around, hiding. I know they are. They're watching, listening. Even now, I could sense it. Right, so, could I ask you who exactly... There you are, you've come to curse me, have you? Don't try to hide it, you're a ghost! A ghost? He's so... He's so fidgety. You mean you no harm, prisoner-san? Are you Japanese by any chance? This is beyond my wildest dreams! Forgive me for that outburst before. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's fine. We were just a little surprised, that's all. Imagine it! It's been 12 months since I left my hometown, and here I am, in a frightful fix in a foreign land. So hearing the sweet, sentimental tones of a compatriot's voice here in this damp, dark hellhole was a most monumentally moving moment. Who could have guessed that this new client Lord Strongheart assigned to us would turn out to be a fellow Japanese? What compassion my fellow countrymen show to dispatch a first-class lawyer all the way from Japan to defend a mere foreign student. Noble, nurturing, never-failing Nippon! Oh, God. A first-class lawyer? Oh, dear. I think there's been something of a misunderstanding here. I wonder, would you be so kind as to tell us what's happened? Why you've been detained as a suspect, for example? Yes, I will! Shut, stay solid and silent! Oh my God. I'm not quite sure what he means, but he seems happy. Yes, he does. I just hope he actually has a good reason to be. Thank you for cooperation. I'm a lawyer, as you said. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. And I'm Naruhodo-san's judicial assistant, Suzaru Mikotoba. I am a visiting student sent here by our government. Notoriously named Natsume. Sosuke, or Soseki Natsume. How nice. Soseki Natsume-san? What an unusual name. Call me Soseki, please. I'm a poet, you see, a writer of haiku. It's something of a nom de plume. Nom de plume? You mean an alias? That's right, Naruhodo-san. No! Don't be so prosaic. It's much more refined than that. And haiku? That really reminds me of home. Did I hear you say that you were a visiting student sent over here by the government? Yes, that's right. A year ago, I was told to go and study English. First, I had to suffer that misery. Now this. It's beyond the pale. Suffer that misery? Did you not want to study here? No, I mean, I've had an interest in Great Britain for some years, of course. Oh. But just because the government tells you to do something doesn't mean you can do it. No. What do you mean? If they told me to study English literature, that I could have understood. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable. I see. Only the other day I was told to send a report about my first year here. I tendered a blank piece of paper. Wise words on white washi. You must be a man of great standing. Oh, yes. So I'm often told. And often to be told, it seems. Could you perhaps tell us exactly why you've been arrested, Soseki-san? I didn't do it! I didn't commit that atrocious murder! Murder? Oh, no, it's alright. The woman didn't actually die, did she? But she was stabbed with a knife! Right before my eyes! Before your eyes? You mean you saw the attacker? I didn't see anyone. What? If I'd seen the person who did it, do you think I'd be locked up in here? Oh dear, it seems this case is becoming rather complicated. It was the woman from the first case! Why me? Why me? Why did that silly woman have to be stabbed in front of me? It's the curse of London. It's incredibly, inexcusably, irritatingly inconvenient. Soseki-san was there at the scene. We didn't see the attacker. It's vital that we find out more about the case. Tell me everything. It was an accursed evening, just after the snow had started to clear, and heavy with fog. I'd been down to the bookshop to buy some books, and I was on my way back from my accursed lodgings. Sure, the bookshop wasn't accursed, too. As I was walking along the accursed pavement, I could make out the silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman wearing a green overcoat she was. Just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a scream and collapsed onto the cold, hard slabs of stone at my feet. Why did she collapse like frickin' Peter from Family Guy? She's a rather rotund lady, is she? That's a lot of books, too. How terrible. I called out to the woman, but she didn't move. It was like it's a grossly ghoulish, grim graveyard. Slight exaggeration there, perhaps. Why does this make it seem familiar, like I've seen this before? I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran as fast as my legs would carry me back to my cursed lodgings. Sometimes Natsume was a real author who studied in London. Okay. That's not good. But they'll say it was shameful, I know, to run away like that. Tell me, Mr. Seki-san, was the victim of an acquaintance of yours? Don't be ridiculous. Do you think I know any of these fair-headed English? And a young woman at that. I'm diffident, shy, timid, unsure. I can't talk to people. I see. A young woman, unknown to Seki-san. And at the time it happened, who else did you see nearby? Did anybody else pass you? Regrettably, apart from myself and the young woman, I didn't see a soul. No one? Oh, great. So the victim wasn't unknown to you. There was nobody else on the street at the time? That creates something of a conundrum, doesn't it? What conundrum? Well, there's no one there that you saw that would stab them. What do you mean, Susato-san? What's the conundrum? Well, if what Sasaki-san was told us just the truth, there's something I can't explain. He says that he didn't know the victim and that there was no one else at the scene. And then he apparently fled without having been seen. I did! But if that's the case, surely this man has to have been the culprit. Ah! You! What did you just say? Nothing. I didn't say anything. Oops, perhaps I thought that a little loudly? Everyone's a mind reader. Actually, that's not what's troubling me. What I was thinking was, how did Sasaki-san actually come to be arrested? Sorry? He didn't touch the victim and there was nobody at the scene to see him. So how did the police ever discover that he was there in the first place? Oh, yeah, she's right. It was him. The accursed great detective. He led the police to me. Of all the bad luck. Accursed great detective? Could it be? I shall never forget the man's name as long as I live. With his haughty laugh and his self-proclaimed greatness. Brash, big-headed, busybody begone. May you be accursed till the end of your days, Herlock Sholmes. I knew it. Mr. Sholmes? Well, I didn't expect to hear that name from this man's lips, that's for sure. It was this morning after the nightmare had unfolded on the pavement before me. I was gnawing on a sliver of hard cheese when some men suddenly burst in through the door. They started shouting at me. This is the police, put the weapon down. Yes, it was a thin sliver. And yes, it was hard, but I wasn't eating a weapon. Disgusting dietary discrimination devils. You clearly had to try a trying morning yesterday. Hey, Mr. Gobiln. Oh. And there he was in the middle of all the policemen, grinning like a Cheshire cat. That Herlock Sholmes. It's actually Herlock Sholmes. He's English. I've since found out that he's a famous name in detection in here in London. Yes, the great detective is really well known. And his overly sharp mind managed to deduce my whereabouts, apparently. He thinks I'm the knife-wielding madman. Me, this weak, stooped kitten of a man. I wonder what great deduction process led him to this conclusion this time. Do you mean to say that Mr. Sholmes' deduction was the only reason the police arrested you? That would be really most unreasonable. Oh, well, the thing is, I was thrown into a panic when they barged their way in. Of course you were. That's only natural. I was terrified and trembling, and they kept throwing questions off the question at me in impossible English. Swedish foreign film flummery. If he doesn't calm down, he's going to pass out with all this big words rhyming. Well, we are in England. You can't really blame them for questioning you in English. Oh, good point. But my mind went blank. I knew I had to answer, but I didn't know what to say. So I just kept repeating things like, yes, I do, and I'm fine. The next thing I knew, I was in manacles, and before I knew it, I was thrown in here. Oh dear. I'm afraid that's hardly surprising. I'm fine. He's not fine now. Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Oh, you can just call me Naruhodo, and when we're speaking English, a simple mister is more than enough. Oh, yes, all right, yes. They've really got to me. This country's poisoning my mind. But please, I beg you to defend me in court tomorrow. You can tell them what really happened. You'll do it, won't you? Well, Why? Why is it so hard to say yes to me? Well, the thing is, I'm just a student like yourself, on a study tour. A student? I defended a course in the Old Bailey, only the one though. But at this moment in time, I really don't know what I'm supposed to be believing. I'm confused about what justice in this country even means. Just tell us the guy that's in here. He's like, I need a defendant. Please defend me. I don't know what justice means in this country. What? Oh, Naruhodo-san. I'm not even the foreign student who was supposed to be here. I'm sort of locum lawyer, I suppose. But that armband! That's the mark of defense lawyer from our great empire. He keeps it from the man who would have been here. He was my best friend. A keepsake? I know exactly what they're saying about me. Oh, who do you mean? The lawyers, all the British defense lawyers. They won't defend me. Goodness, why do you say that? For the same reason as you noted before, when it happened. There was only the victim and myself around, and I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must have been the culprit. It must be very hard for you, Soseki-san. And anyway, I'm a student from overseas. I'm just a foreign nobody to them. Someone not to be trusted. I heard them openly laughing about me before, in my earshot, without any compunction at all. Any trial for this man would be a waste of time, they said. And of course the foreigner did it. They even had the gall to say that man doesn't understand half of what's being said anyway. It's awful. They're wrong. I've studied more English than half of the policemen out there on the streets. I've traveled halfway around the world to learn about these people's country and its great history. But no one here wants to listen to a man with a strange accent. They all hate me. So at the very least, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who can listen to me in my native tongue. You could do it, couldn't you? When I look into your eyes, I can see it. I can see what you've been through. Soseki-san, it's just that... Give me a little time, please. I'll do what I can for the time being. What do you mean? We shall investigate the case as thoroughly as possible. If we can find some clues, it'll give us a much better chance, I'm sure. Oh, yes, thank you. I'll be here, all alone, waiting for you. Locum student of Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. We should get going then, Naruhodo-san. We have a case to prepare for. I'm gonna present you some stuff. Like my armband. Yes, the symbol of our one great empire's first-rate lawyers. Which means, of course, you'll stand by my side. You'll defend me. Oh, no, sorry. That wasn't why I was showing it to you. Then why else would you show me that? Oops. In hindsight, that probably wasn't the best idea. I just wanted to break his hopes and dreams. You know how it is. And now time to leave. Bye. Oh, it's you. What the Japanese delegation doing here? Oh, Inspector Gregson. This isn't the tourist trail, I'm afraid. As I'm sure you're well aware. Yes, of course. We're here to investigate. So you've been to the holding cells, then? What do you think of the criminal? He's not a criminal as you put it, Inspector. He's a suspect. Huh. We'll see about that. You Japanese like to stick together, I suppose. Well, do what you will. It won't bother me. The bloke's in court tomorrow, whatever happens. The verdict's a foregone conclusion. The stone-cold air of rejection. Take heart. London at this time of year is full of stone-cold air. That makes it worse somehow. Let us talk. Tell me more about Scotland Yard, Inspector. Ever since I learned about it in the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, I've been fascinated by the place. The Yard is the most sophisticated policing organization you'll find anywhere in the world, ma'am. Oh, and you know, I've always dreamed of wearing a Bobby's helmet. It does make them look the part, seeing that policeman there with his helmet on. You certainly get the sense that this is a man who will take no nonsense in his duty of protecting the city. Oh yes, doesn't he look wonderful? Being a London Bobby is hard going, I can tell you. Oh really? The first thing in the morning, you know what he does? Goes round and rouses all the labourers on his beat so they can get off to work. Ah yes, the door knockers. I remember that. I mean, I don't remember it as though I was there. I mean, I remember that from, like, history. Back in my day, back in the 1800s. What? He wakes people up. Yep, raps on their windows with a long pole. Did it myself going back a bit. I had no idea. The Bobby works for the people of the town. He's just another one of his duties. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets, all day long. He has to cover 20 miles a day. That's the regulation distance. Can't really imagine how far that is, but it sounds like a long way. Let me see. 20 miles, that's approximately the distance from Tokyo to Yokohama. On foot? That's definitely taking things a step too far. When it gets dark, of course, he has the important job of lighting all the gas street lamps. Oh my. I suppose it's in between all of those duties, Bobbies are expected to investigate cases as well. And chase after criminals trying to evade the law. I'm not sure you call it in between exactly. More alongside, but yes. They're expected to handle those jobs as well. We do have men needing keeling over from time to time, I admit. I'd always dreamed of wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But it's with a heavy heart that I shall have to relinquish the dream to you, Mr. Naruhodo. Your heavy heart will be heavy-headed, will be my heavy head if you do. It happened around 5 in the evening, 2 days ago, just there on that open bit of pavement. The victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind. Is it right that the lady is still unconscious now? You mentioned that she's being treated in a hospital. I never said she was a lady. Truth is, unless she comes around pretty smartish, we won't be able to find out much about her at all. I suppose that means they haven't been able to take a statement about her from her, of course. Here's a map of the local area I happen to have on me. You can take it if you want. Really? Are you sure? It's yard policy to give lawyers defending suspects the odd bit of information to go on. I haven't actually accepted the job yet, but still. Thank you, Inspector. Will greatly accept. The local map has been entered into the court record, showing the area where the victim was found. Anyway, as far as we know, there was no one else in the scene other than the victim and your fellow countryman. So, who did it, do you think? Much of a head-scratcher, is it? Well, I know Mr. Natsume is also claiming not to have seen anyone else around, but just because he didn't see anyone, it doesn't mean we can't be sure that nobody else was present. I'm sorry to have to tell you, but we most certainly can be sure. How? Because, ma'am, the precise moment of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed. What? We have two very reliable witnesses, no less. Which is weird, because the guy said there was no one else. It was a typical foggy London day, and your client obviously didn't see them. There were witnesses now? Who are these witnesses, Inspector? A fellow and his wife. The man's one of the most reliable and respected citizens in all of London. He's a copper from Scotland Yard. A policeman? That might change things. And this policeman just happened to be there exact moment that the woman was attacked. And nothing particular about that, ma'am. Part and parcel of being a bobby, catching them banging the act and all. Do you think it might be possible for us to ask that policeman a few questions? Be my guest. You can ask him what you like. In court tomorrow. Oh. I've no doubt he'll be summoned as a witness. So that'll give you something to look forward to. That's that then. Got no intention of letting us meet the man beforehand, it seems. The policeman who witnessed the incident. As your judicial assistant, I must warn you that this could make our jobs very difficult indeed. Yes, as a non-judicial assistant, I would have warned me of that too. Oh, yes, one more thing, Inspector. Oh, wrong voice. What? The person who led you to the suspect. I hear that was Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes. What are you bringing him up for? Was it something I said? The colour has drained from his cheeks. That twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. You're never going to defend him or not? Well, makes no difference to me, but I will just say this. No London lawyer worth his salt would touch that case from a barge pole. Because the prosecution is being handled by the Reaper of the Bailey, you mean? There's no way to save that man now. It's a waste of time trying. It's all a bit strange, though. Sorry? The Reaper. He hasn't appeared in court once for a good few years now. Yes, we did hear something to that effect. He censored the hell out of her. Okay. And the only people he usually bothers were the real scum, the master criminals, the violent ones. Master criminals? The violent ones? That's right, he handpicks his victims. Only deals with those guaranteed to go to the gallows for their sins. But Mr. Natsumi wouldn't hang for what he's accused of, surely. That's just my point, Sunshine. Yes, the young woman was stabbed, but it didn't kill her. Couldn't even say the intent was there. So this isn't just the sort of case I'd expected the Reaper to want to sink his teeth into, for want of a better phrase. Well, it's not exactly a minor infraction, is it? No, there's got to be more to it. Some reason it's taken an interest. Really? What sort of reason, Inspector? You think I could tell you what's going on inside the head of that Lord of Darkness? He is just Dracula! calling him the Lord of Darkness. Come on, man. You'll have to ask him yourself at tomorrow's trial. Are we really going to have to face the Reaper again? The Lord of Darkness, as he put it. Who did you hear that name from? Oh, well, it was Mr. Natsume who mentioned it. He said that Mr. Sholmes was with the police when they entered his lodgings. I'm sure it was the result of one of Mr. Holmes' inspirational great deductions. Fiddle faddle! The man's an amateur, and I'm getting sick and tired of him showing his mug everywhere. Oh. I don't know where he gets his information from, but he turns up at the scene of the crime, wanders around, spouting incomprehensible rubbish, and before you know it, he claims to have solved the case. Yeah, he's quite astounding, isn't he? He is a great help of Scotland Yard, though, isn't he? Gibble gabble! Ever seen this before? Oh, yes, that's Rant's magazine. The wonderful publication in which the adventurous Sherlock Sholmes appears. Yes, well, that wonderful publication, as you put it, sees fit to include several of the Yard's detectives in its stories. And the so-called great detective makes a mockery of all of us. If you ask anyone at the Yard, it's the misadventure to be included in any Sherlock Sholmes tale at all. Well, I suppose there is an element of that. We work our socks off, every one of us, only to be frumped by the public thanks to that obnoxious detective. The man's as dangerous to us as Scotland Yard as he is to all of our criminals. That can't really be true, can it, Inspector? Clearly the great detectives and the police have a complex relationship. Oh, it's gone. Well, I don't think we're going to get any more useful information out of the detective. Mr. Naruhodo, can I make a suggestion? Oh, yes, what is it? Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this. By him, do you mean Mr. Sholmes? Yes, Mr. Sherlock Sholmes, exactly. Look at those shining eyes. Can't wait, can you? Well, Mr. Natsume did blame Mr. Sholmes for all of this, didn't he? Yes, he did. He really did. Which makes him an involved party in the case. Are you going to ignore that? I hope not. I assure you, it's not simply my selfish desire to meet Mr. Sholmes again. The trouble is, we have no idea of the man's address even. So how is Baker Street? How do you know that? It's in the stories, of course. 221B Baker Street, the most famous address in the world. Oh, I see. Well, there's nothing to stop us from going, I suppose. We better try to find a way there before Suzaru-san gets any more excited and unpredictable. Hurrah! I'll summon a carriage. So we're going to have the reunion already. With the great detective, Mr. Sherlock Sholmes. Stroke his mustache. And then show him my band. Inspector Gregson, could I show you this? Am I supposed to know what that is? I've never seen that insignia before. It's worn by the defense lawyers in the Empire of Japan. It's a symbol of their profession. In other words, it's a worthless trinket here in Great Britain. Oh no, it's very important to me. It shows my spirit. An English gentleman keeps things like his spirit very much to himself, I'll have you know. Oh. Don't give up, Mr. Naruhodo. It's too late. He's crushed my spirit already. Poor Naruhodo. Raya Road, Calabash Road, Meerschaum. What about this one? What's this road? Thank you again for this. No, don't mention it. I had someone at the Yard fish it out for me, but in the end I didn't need it. Oh? Well, the case could hardly be simpler, could it? I don't need a map to work that out. You can throw it away when you're done with it. Cold. Alright, let's go to Baker Street. A new location has been added. The home and office of the most famous detective in the whole world. And he said the most detective famous. I must be dreaming. Oh, it's a cutscene too.
Thank you very much.
It's just up there overlooking the street. Good day.
Thanks again. This is it. The residence of Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
My headset was disconnected over and over again. That's a lot of plants. Ooh. 19th of February, 12:53 p.m. Sholmes Suite. So what was the driver pointing at? He said it's just up there at the end of the street, and yet we looked right behind us, and that was the house. So this is where the great detective makes his living. It feels surreal to be here somehow. Ooh. Is it as described in the stories, Mr. Zato? Zato-san? Many famous cases have been solved here in this very room. Oh, I suppose they must have been, yes. I've never read the story, so it's hard to get quite as excited about it as she seems to be. The detective chases the villain relentlessly as he disappears into the fog down an unlit London street. Oh, the thrill of it, the romanticism. Can you feel your heart thumping in your chest? Can't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, I suppose I can, yes. So if you don't mind, I'll just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a while longer. Please don't mind me. Oh, she's obsessed. Well, looks like our detective friend isn't home at present. Excuse me, is anybody home? Oh, do we have a visitor? I don't know if this is Sholmes or someone else. Oh, it's you! Hello, is it a big new case for Mr. Sholmes? Hello? Wait, aren't you... Oh, how rude of me. I'll go and make some tea at once. I'm sure it's the same girl. Susano, did you see that girl who was just here? Oh yes, isn't it truly extraordinary? To think that the King of Bohemia came to this very room to ask Mr. Sholmes to take on his case. The King of Bohemia? King Wilhelm Oh, God. King Wilhelm Gottschalk Sigismund von Ornstein, of course. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Forget the adventures of Herlock Sholmes for a moment and look over there. The tea's brewed, and I have a freshly baked cake as well. It's you! I knew it. Susano-san recognizes her too. She's the one that wanted her gun back. Ah, there you are. I'm taking that with you as well. I was looking toward that trial for my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine. It's the girl who turned up at the end of Mr. McGildy's trial in the defendant's antechamber. I never met a lawyer from the Far East before. Or you having to get straight to work when you've only just arrived in London. Oh, yeah, it was challenging. Well, try this tea. It's my special blend, you know. Thank you. Is tea supposed to look that color? Oh my, what a fragrant yet mellow flavor. Hooray, it's a winner! I tried blending different leaves designed to alleviate fatigue, you see. You must be exhausted after your long voyage here. You have another ticklish trial tomorrow. Oh, and your defender, Japanese man. I do wish you lots and lots of luck. Miss Sholmes, or Mr. Sholmes tell you about us by any chance? Oh, you know Hurley, do you? Hurley? Mr. Sholmes to you, surely. Mr. Sholmes was a fellow passenger on a boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see. Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I keep changing her accent because I'm not sure how to play her yet. I'm afraid Hurley's on the errand again today, even though he's just returned from overseas. Wait a minute. We met this girl for the first time ever yesterday after the trial, and only briefly at that. How on earth does she know so much about us? Did she deduce all those things, do you think? And perhaps more to the point, well, why is she still here in Mr. Holmes' suite? Oh, silly me. I have introduced myself, have I? It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name is Iris Wilson. I live here together with Hurley. Iris, is it? What a lovely name. What? What's the matter? No, wait. This can't be. Did you say that your name is Wilson? What's the matter with Susanna-san? Why is she so flustered all of a sudden? Yes, that's right. And what are your names? Oh, I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a lawyer from Japan. Oh, sorry. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Susanna Mikotoba. So wonderful to meet you. Lovely. Susie and Runo. Got it. Susie? Runo? There's more to this girl than meets the eye. I have so many questions about her, or for her, that I don't know where to start. Yes, and so do I. So I guess she's supposed to be this incarnation of Wilson, but then we had a Wilson before. Watson, I meant to say. I guess it could be Watson's wife. But at the same time, we don't know yet. Probably just going to get into it. Let's examine things. So that huge metal chest is being used as a table for tea and coffee. Seems very sturdy with an equally sturdy lock. Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't go around opening things. I always have to keep an eye on you, don't I? You're very mischievous. How did you come to that conclusion? Ooh, that chest contains some of my most valuable things. And that smile tells me you're not going to give us any clues about what they are. She's 10. Okay, well, maybe she's the daughter? I don't know. I do like the fireplace. It's one of the best things I've seen since we arrived in this country, in fact. Lingering beside the fire and watching the flames flicker and dance in the grate. So relaxing. I can't relax. Not when there's so many interesting things on the mantelpiece. Oh, it's just as described in the stories. It is? Yes, exactly. Inside that Persian slipper, for example. And my chocolate for 11s. And transfixed by that large jackknife. Oh, whoops. Here's my shopping list for the market. Oh, it's not quite I remember it being described in the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Or is this out of time? She looks crushed. I'm going to look at these pictures? Fine. A mystery shoe, a curious hammer, some mysterious dancing men, a bust of Napoleon. What an enticing... what? What's wrong with me? Entrancing collection. I was trying to say enticing for some reason. This is the first time in my life that I've seen a lonely old shoe displayed as an ornament. Oh, it's one of those mementos that Hurley has collected from the past pieces. Really? Even the bust? Yes, that's right. When the mood takes him, he likes to throw it on the floor and smash it into dust. The poor defenseless emperor. Mr. Sholmes destroys it? Yes, and then he buys a new one. Make it sound like he has the temperament of an insane sculptor. How intensely bohemian of him. I think that's everything I can look at on this side, so... Oh, wait. There's all sorts of these shelves. Chemistry apparatus, books, papers, and lots of things I've never seen before. It's all heat up so high, I can't help feeling that the whole lot is going to topple over at any moment. You keep telling Hurley not to cramp so much of those on the shelves. Good advice. He wanted to look something up in one of those books a while ago. But it was so tightly wedged in, he couldn't get out. And then he went and bought a new copy instead. He's a hoarder. Violin. I've seen a picture of Western musical instruments like this. It's called a violin, isn't it? Of course it is. Mr. Sholmes is renowned for his violin playing. Oh, really? Absolutely. It's often explained in the stories. It's inspirational, Mr. Naruhodo. Mr. Inspirational. I immediately started playing the koto, which was the closest Japanese string instrument I could find. What a shame you couldn't bring it with you to London. Oh, yes, well... Papa was beaming when I asked him if he would buy me one. But after a while, he asked if I would only practice when he was out of the house. So now it's merely an ornament in my room. That must have been an awkward conversation. Hey, achievement, second-rate strings. There's a skull. What on earth is this huge, over-the-top machine? That's the great analytoscope. It can analyze anything, really. Anything at all. That's absolutely incredible. It's one of the Hurley inventions. It took him a whole year. He said it was to help him with his investigations. What sort of things did he analyze with it? Do you know? Well, actually, he hasn't used it for anything yet. Oh. Why not? Apparently, on the evening he finally completed it, it suddenly occurred to him. I don't actually have anything I need to analyze. Oh dear. How about you, Runo? Do you have anything you'd like to have analyzed? The only thing that springs to mind is this machine itself. I probably have to have, like, some sort of evidence later. That's a huge freaking vial, Jesus! Holes? Why are there bullet holes in the wall up there? Why does it say VR? Was Mr. Sholmes trying to shoot a pestily fly or something? Mr. Sholmes would never do something so reckless. No? Those are the letters VR, standing for Victoria Regina. It's Latin for Queen Victoria. So, you mean he shot the Queen into the wall? In a moment of boredom, Mr. Sholmes adorned the wall with a patriotic sign, that's all. All pistol practice. Right, that makes perfect sense now. It's exactly as described in the stories. Oh, this is delightful. I'm not sure the real explanation is any less reckless than shooting at a fly, personally. It's patriotic, Mr. Naruhodo, patriotic! Idiotic, more likely, but sure. Next side. EA equals MC squared. Ah, that's my blackboard where I note down ideas. Oh, interesting. Let's see. Black Peter? What does that mean? Don't you want to hear what Iris has to say, Mr. Naruhodo? I'll come back to the blackboard later. The beautiful English tea set, so neatly arranged. It's a favourite pastime of mine. Cup of herbal tea in the afternoon. Tea? Made of herbs? That's right. I grow all sorts of herbs in the garden, so I can experiment with different blends. One moment. Don't go away. I'll brew a special blend I came up with earlier today. She looks delighted. I hope it's safe to drink. No, I don't want to look at it again. That typewriter is huge! Some of these things are, like, absorbently big. There's a charming little white shelf full of charming little bottles, too. Oh, yes. Don't touch any of those. They might explode. Explode? Are they exotic chemicals? Do you use them for exciting experiments? Yes, indeed. And as Hurley always says, chemistry is an explosive science. Sorry? I agree, a single discovery can trigger an explosion of innovation all around the world. Or perhaps he just meant it literally? Either way, mental note, do not touch any bottle that belongs to Iris. There's a footstool. Dog. What on earth is that big black lump over there? That's a fascinating thing. It's called a typewriter. It's a machine that allows you to write on paper without needing a pen. And wizardly quickly, too. Oh, that sounds like it could be very useful for someone like me with terrible handwriting. How bad is your handwriting? Does it give me anything else? So, to the conversation. It was you that we ran into yesterday, wasn't it? At the Old Bailey? Yes, that's right. You were ever so helpful. Thank you so much. Ah, Joel. Oh, no, not at all. I'm sorry we couldn't have been more welcoming. I thought at the time we did have a rather large gun pointed at us. Rocket launcher! Like this? Oh. Thinking about it now, you left with Miss Lestrade in tow, didn't you? Oh, yes, that awkward witness, Gina Lestrade. Oh, Ginny? Yes, she's professionally pickpocket. So we found out. It was very naughty of her to pitch my invention like that. Are you referring to that child-destructing gun-like contraption? Exactly, so I followed her, you see, to get it back. Perhaps I should think about the fitting and self-destruct mechanism of my inventions. But this girl is dangerous. Anyway, I brought Ginny back here after that. Bless me. Again. Almost pulling my neck with those. Anyway, I brought Ginny back here after that, and so she could apologize to my trusty technician. Sorry, your technician? Hurley, of course, silly. Hurley. Yes, Herlock Sholmes. We live here together. I had no idea the great detective has such an interesting young daughter. Daughter? Not likely. What? I wouldn't call him Hurley if he was my father, would I? Well then, what is your relationship with Mr. Sholmes? Well, I expect you found out that the lodgings of any kind in London are very expensive. So the solution is to share the cost with a partner, a roommate. Your roommates? And they were roommates. I hope you don't mind me asking, Iris, but how old are you? 10 at last year. At this year. Well, what of your mother and father? Oh, no, they're not around. Oh, I see. I wonder what the story is there. And it was around this time kids were being forced to work anyway, so it makes sense that she would have money. Oh yes, there's something I must ask you. Of course. Go ahead, Susie. I'm a very great fan of the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, and... Oh, you have a copy of Vrad's magazine. Yes, I've read every issue. It's delivered all the way to Japan on a ship. Oh, this is so exciting. My stories are being read on the other side of the world. My stories? That's right. Hurley is always solving such amazing cases, you see, and he tells me all about them. They're really quite fascinating. It would be a shame if I was the only one who ever heard them, don't you think? Goodness. Last night, he was telling me about a new case he just solved on a steamship traveling from a faraway land. So I was just in the middle of typing up the manuscript for the next issue before you came. So you're the author? Yes, I'll let you in on the secret if you like. I'm going to call the latest adventure The Speckled Band. The Speckled Band? That's certainly very familiar. Of course, I always change one or two details in the stories, here and there. This time, I had the idea of making a venomous snake be the cause of the trouble. Oh, that was Mr. Sholmes' first thought as well, actually. Yes, and of course, I know about that a snake might not be a credible fit for the facts of the case exactly, but... it's a story. Some poetic license is justified to make it more thrilling, I think, don't you know? Don't you? I mean, it's a fictional story, so... yeah. If it was like, no, this is actually what really happened, then you'd be like, oh, yeah, then that's bad. So, do you mean to say... are these stories about Mr. Sholmes that are published in the Rand's magazine? Oh, written by me? Yes. On my very wonderful and very modern typewriter. But what are all the stories I've ever read? Oh, written by a doctor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson. So Sada-san's getting more and more worked up. Yes, that's me. I mean, my name really is Wilson. But what about the doctor of medicine part? That's all true too. I'm a doctor of medicine. No, at 10 years old? At 10 years old. Well, that's quite incredible. But Dr. Wilson is an English gentleman. Ah, yes. I did alter the setting slightly for the stories to be more compelling. Oh. Well, it sounds a little strange, doesn't it? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in tow? I suppose it does, yes. I mean, you look at Indiana Jones 2. He had a kid psychic in that, and he was like 10 or 12. So it can work. You just got to make it work. Poor Susada-san. She looks like a whole world has just fallen apart. About before. Yes. What's on your mind, Bruno? Do tell. How did you know that I was a lawyer and we just arrived in London, I mean? Yes. Oh, and that we have a difficult trial tomorrow. How did you know all of that? Oh, that's what you mean? Please tell us what you did, how you did it. Explain every detail. Of course, I'd be delighted. Although there's really no mystery. Now, let's begin. She has the same goggles. Iris Wilson is proud to present her logic and reasoning spectacular. Oh. And now she's doing the thing. First of all, I already knew that you were a lawyer, Bruno. After all, I met you yesterday at the Old Bailey in the defendant's chamber. But you also said that we only arrived in London. How did you know that? You know, it's weird when you actually get to see his 3D model outside of a courtroom. It's cool. I wish we did that more. I want to see Phoenix. I want to see freaking not Apollo because he's not in anymore. The other character. Why are the names escaping me? Bruce said you only just arrived in London. How did you know that? I observed a passport and a travel ticket protruding from your breast pocket. Oh, so I was reasonably confident that you must only have arrived just in the country. Dina, that's it, yeah. And on top of that, you accepted a case against that particular prosecutor, telling me you were unaware of Lord London's court affairs. The Reaper of the Bailey. I went right into that one, didn't I? Then I noticed the red ink on the stamp. Red ink stamp on the back of Susie's hand. You were given that when you visited the local prison at with the suspect, weren't you? Earlier today. They use those stamps to keep a close eye on comings and goings, you see. I didn't realize. And a red stamp is only used for people visiting foreign inmates. So, that told me that even though you were only yesterday concluded the trial of Magnus McGilvert, the two of you had already had cause to visit a foreign inmate at a local prison. However, neither of you was wearing a particular sad expression on your face, so I concluded that the person was unlikely to be a friend or a relative. That led me to believe that you had just accepted a new case. I see. But how could you have known that the trial is tomorrow? Well, having barely been home a few hours yesterday, Hurley solved yet another case. This obviously amused him. He told me that he caught a Japanese man who was bawling and trembling. Japanese man? Well, clearly that must have been Mr. Natsume. Susanoo. Never mind. Now, Runo has this fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit is called a kimono, isn't it, Susie? Well, anyway, it was clear to me that you both came from Japan yourselves. So I put two and two together. Besides, you must be the defending Japanese man Hurley caught. And there was only one conclusion those facts could lead me to. You both came here to ask Hurley about the case. There's a note on the mantelpiece that says the man's trial will be tomorrow. Hurley is always stabbing his notes with a knife, you know. He's silly. And that's all there was to it, really. Thank you for listening. I'm Iris Wilson, and that was of my great deductions. Well, was it a winner? Were my deductions correct? They were spot on. That was amazing, Iris. You truly are a great deduction. Truly a great deduction. What? I'm losing my ability to read. You even managed to certain something of Mr. Sholmes' delivery. Oh, well, I was just copying Hurley's style for that. This is really very good news. You can tell us all about the case involving the Japanese man. You will, won't you, Iris? Please? So, yesterday, Mr. Sholmes apprehended a Japanese man, you were saying? Yes. Well, he had just arrived back in London after his sea voyage, but the police were waiting for him at the railway station to take him directly to the crime scene. Ah, the great detective is a popular man, it seems. Apparently a woman was stabbed on a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had seen a short, shifty-looking, stooped man running away from the scene. A short, shifty-looking, stooped man. Mr. Natsume, beyond any doubt, Sasaki-san said that he didn't see anybody else on the street after all. But it seems that there were witnesses after all. Hurley used his great detective powers to determine the man's address. It was a lodging room very nearby. He went directly there with the police. And then what did they find? A short, shifty-looking, stupid man, shivering in fear. Ugh. Mr. Sholmes' great deduction certainly hit the mark that time. Of course it did. He's a great detective. Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. Surely tomorrow is too soon for the trial, isn't it? Definitely. We have no time to investigate properly. Hurley says that London is rife with crime. He's not wrong. Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it, apparently. Oh dear, I hadn't realised the situation was so dire. And that's why we can't afford to spend too much time investigating cases and trying the criminals in court. Staff and money are both short. Crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person. But that's terrible. I suppose it's the harsh reality of the workers in the world's greatest justice system. I suppose it is, but in that case, I don't hold out much hope for Sasaki-san. Thank you for answering so many of our questions, Iris. This has been very informative. Oh, you're most welcome. I've had so much fun. Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is at the moment? As you guessed, we'd like to ask him some questions about this case as well. Ah, well, I expect Hurley is still investigating the scene. If the case involves Ms. Matsume, you mean? Yes, Mr. Nuts, Ume? Hurley said he was going to go to the man's lodgings. If you leave now, you'll probably catch him there. Iris, do you know where the lodgings are? Well, I imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they? No, they left. Did you happen to come across a detective by the name of Gregson while you were there? Well, yes, we know Inspector Gregson. Ah, goody. In that case, give Gregsy this from me, would you? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to know. What is this? A 5-shilling piece and a postcard, it seems. Okay. It reads, "Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem." Gosh, this will make the inspector help us, will it? Well, thank you, Iris. We'll give it a try. Good luck, then. I'm going to go return to my ride with my script, The Speckled Band. And I'll be making more special blends of tea. So come back soon. You'd be delighted. Thank you so much, Iris. Well, Mr. Narhoda, it's back to the scene of the crime. Whee! So, somewhat dubious that they would exert any influence over the men of Scotland Yard at all. We headed back to the scene with Iris's curious note and one of the world's heaviest silver coins in hand. Is it going to be to be continued here? Wow! What a weird place to have it to be continued. I mean, I'll take it. It's just weird that it would be there. First part done. Second part too. Ugh. Right, how long have we been going for? Oh, wow. Oh, it's 2 hours exactly. We've got 15 minutes left. I don't think we'll have enough time to do the second one. I think the second one's probably going to be just as long, if not longer. So we will actually stop there and pick this up next time. I really thought we'd get the investigation done and then we could go straight into the trial next stream. But I guess not. All right. Adventures of the Clouded Kokoro. I've already saved. I can see some. So let me just exit out of here. Exit game. Don't save. Yes. All right, and that is where we will stop for today. Thank you all for joining. Hope everyone enjoyed. I'm having fun with this. This is fun. It's weird. It's like every time we do like the first stream of the week with Great Ace Attorney, it takes me a while to actually get like into the voices, and I have to wait until like the next stream of this where I'm actually like able to do it properly. It's something wrong with my throat or something because I don't usually talk a lot when I'm not streaming, so having to get into the talking voice kind of thing is what gets me up and gets me start to do it properly the next time. So we shall see what happens to next stream. Tomorrow I'll be back with more Dying Light. I'm still unsure if I'm going to be continuing that or not. I probably will just finish it off because I don't hate it. It's just sometimes it gets on my nerves. But yeah. But anyway, thanks for joining today. I hope everyone enjoyed. As usual, if you have not already, like, follow, subscribe, do the bell notifications so you know when the next stream. And if you want to help support me directly, there's links to Patreon and tips. Tips show up during stream, and if you become a patron, they get your name added to the patron list here, where I give you a shout out at the end of the stream, like I do with Hiroru Kuni, the Swordmaster 37, and Rafatron 2000. And thank you for the continued support. I greatly appreciate you all. And we go around trying to solve cases while Shom starts putting innocent people in jail because he thinks he got the right person, but then finds out he hasn't. I had to change the Patreon. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw. Maybe lost my track of thought now. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll be continuing this on Thursday. Tomorrow I'll be back with Dying Light, so look forward to that. And it's fine, Rabbit Child. It's like my brain just suddenly stopped working when I was reading chat, and I was like, what? My brain? But yeah, hope you all have a nice rest of the day. I'll see you either tomorrow or Thursday. And until next time, you all take care of yourselves and be safe. Until next time, bye everyone. Bye Rafatron. Bye everyone else. See ya.